Today, we're going to talk about interaction. This is a common thing that's done in just about every single game there is. The player interacts with the environment, or an object, or an inventory, or a box, or a gun, or any number of things that are in there, but it's all sort of the same. Most games with the interact function type thing is usually done through the E key or the R key or the T key. And the reason it's done there is because those keys are just simply closer to the W key, which is where you've always got your middle finger most of the time. It's not like all the studios got together and decided this is the key we're going to use. It's just something that's happened. The Q key is also another commonly used one, as well as the Tab key, Shift key, and the Control key. So, and of course, space is equally convenient because it's run under your thumb. It just makes sense, and that's generally why a lot of those keys generally get used. This is a question that seems to be... I've seen it 4 times in the last week on Facebook, so yeah, interesting. But we're here to talk about interaction with objects, which is a little bit fun. So what we'll do is we're going to just create an actor. We're going to call it simple actor. Inside our simple actor, we're just going to put a cube. And we're going to put a sphere. And what we're going to do is we're just going to put them separate, because there's a reason I'm doing this. When it comes to interacting with these objects, sometimes you're going to build an object or an actor that has multiple parts to it. So it might have a keypad on it, and you may want to get some sort of click event from the buttons only. Or for example, you've got a chest with 2 buttons on it that need to be pushed to be able to open the chest, or any number of things that you could possibly want to do that you all want in one actor, but you need the actor to have multiple bits to it. And how do you pick up what you're hitting? So that's what I'll show you. So we've created the simple actor. Now each of these objects has on it these little events here, which are kind of interesting. So you got on cursor, on begin cursor over, on end cursor over. So they're kind of handy if you want to make it do something when you do. You've got on clicked. This is the one I'm going to show. So we're just going to that one. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to select our sphere, and we're going to do the same thing again. So what do you see here? So we've got 2 on-clicked events, both of the same name, but one's for the sphere and one's for the cube. So just print them when the event fires. Okay, so when each of these events fire, we should see that. So how do we do that? Because we can't really do much at all with it. So where do we go? Okay, so what we need to do is we need to release the mouse cursor. And this is done through a node called set show mouse cursor. There it is. It just looks like a variable, but it's actually just exactly what it does. I'm going to tie it up to the tab key, and I'm going to do it through a flip-flop. So tab key, which is there, and we're going to run it into a flip-flop. Now on the surface, this is what you can actually, this is what it looks like you should do, but there's a bit more to it than that. We actually have to hook up these target values. And in Unreal 5, I find you have to hook these up to the player controller. So get player controller, and if you don't hook it up to get player state, it still has a whinge at you. There you go. That's it. Okay, so we're going to check that one. And what we're going to have is we're just going to have the mouse cursor come back. So floating around. There's our mouse cursor, but our world still moves as well. And when we click, we lose focus of the actual. Of course, mouse cursor disappears, reappears, disappears. So we've got a few more problems to sort out. Now, since we're going to be clicking on our actor, we've also got to enable click events. So enable click events, and it should really just turn them off because it stops inputs from being consumed as well, apparently. It's just, it still works. There, save the wiring a bit. And now what we'll have is when we click on these, so we've got sphere, we've got cube, sphere, cube, sphere, cube, sphere, cube. So now we know what object we're, even though this is the same actor, we now know what component we're actually hitting. So we've still got another problem. We've got, I'm moving the mouse right now, and it's not been captured. That's because we've mucked up the input mode. And there's a lot of question about this, but this is just how I've done it. Set game mode and UI. There's a lot of people on forums that will say you don't need to do this, and then there's some that will say you do, and it's a bit of a mess because this actually changes during, depending on the version you use. There's also some that will say don't use this particular node. Set input game mode only. There was a bug back in 4.19, and I think it even persisted a little bit further. I'm not entirely sure. And it meant that this one didn't actually work. Or if it did some funny things. Now, I'm in 5.1, and I'm pretty sure it actually works. And what it did was, I think it randomly consumed inputs, so you had to double click on everything. So let's just have a play with it. So when mouse is consumed, there's our mouse. Click on the cube. And we're not consumed, we're not taking, oh, that's right. I've been very naughty and I haven't hooked these up. I forget every single time because it still lets you compile it. Okay, so let's try again without the oops. Tab, click, click, there you go. They're working, and we've consumed the mouse again. There you go. That's your mouse working. and disappearing and reappearing with tab. So that's that there. So here's the other thing. That's for the mouse. What if you want to use the E key? And it's not like you can just execute these two functions independently. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in a line trace. And this is just one of the many things you can do, but what we're going to do is we're going to bring in a line trace coming off, take it off this. Again, we're going to try and do the world's fastest line trace. So, oops, promote to variable, get player controller, get world location. Okay. That worked. Oh, that's right. We weren't using that. We were using the first person camera. Forgot about that. That's actually where we want it. Get forward vector. Okay, so we're just going to add that one, multiply that one, feed that into there, that goes there, and that goes there. I want to see if there's a record for doing that. I don't know, I doubt there is. There should be. Everybody's done it enough times. And there you go, there's going to be our line trace. And realistically, this is probably something that you're going to have anyway, just sitting there. So, and yeah, so we're going to go there. We're just going to put a branch on this. So if we've got a valid object, we're just going to, then we'll set it. Otherwise, we don't want anything sporadic happening. So out hit. Why is it using out hit 0? Out hit. Oh, that's right, because we did that was from something earlier. All right. So now we're going to bring in the E key. Actually, no, we're not. What we're going to do is we're going to make a really quick interface, because that's what we're going to use to pass a reference to the actor, and it'll make sense in a minute. So std, which is what we always call our interfaces. What we're going to do is we're going to call this one pass ref, and the parameter for it is going to be an object. This is like a universal-ish kind of thing, but you gotta go down to object and then go to object reference, and that's all we need to do. We're going to go into simple actor. Going to go to class settings, implemented classes. We're going to go std, which is the interface we want, and that's going to give us this pass reference event, which is going to be here. And this is what we're going to use to determine which one of these we need to just execute. So this gives you the ability to not only use the mouse, but also use the line trace and the E key to execute the exact same code in the actor without having to go through many of the other ways it's done. This is just a really simple way. This is how I do it. And this is, yeah, someone's probably got a simpler solution, but this works. And it gets around a lot of headaches, because you can also use it with the mouse cursor line trace as well. So just for now, we're going to print this. We're just going to print this value, just for now. So we're going to go there. Now, out of habit, we're just going to test our line trace, which is there. Yep, that works. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to grab the E key. And wherever that's gone, that's there. There's our precious little E key thing. Now I know I should probably set up some input things on the in the input mapping, but it's just going to add length to the video. I probably should have had the line trace done beforehand because we're at 15 minutes now. So what we need to do is we need to get the out hit actor, which is the hit result from the line trace. We're going to split that, drag this down here. Now what we're going to have is these two. It's these two here that we need. We need out hit actor and we need out hit component. Now there's actually a when you've got two different meshes in here, these have got two different names. One's cube, one's sphere. And how do you know which one the line trace is hitting? So this is where this comes in. So what we'll do is we're going to print both of them just to illustrate what's going on. So the first thing that gets printed is going to be the actor. The second one is going to be the component that we're hitting. And you'll see the naming convention in a sec. So we'll compile that, hit that. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to hit E. The first one was the out hit actor, and the second one's the component. So we do it again. Out hit actor. Second one's the component. Hang on, is that right? Hang on. Yeah, first one out hit actor. Next one's the component reference. Not terribly sure why they do it like that, but yeah. Tells you simple actor, which is what this is, and then what it is in the same name. So cube, cube, sphere, sphere. And then of course the bottom one is actor. I don't know why it's printing it like that. It should actually be the component. Let's just change the color just so we can separate them. So the pink one should be the out hit actor. Yeah, there it is. That makes sense. Well, it's printing it in reverse. So, yeah, it tells you what actor it is no matter what actual component you're hitting, and the actual component one, which is in blue, it tells you the name of the actor, but also what it's hitting, which component. So you can actually use this to now determine what you're hitting within the actor, so you can actually pass this on. So we're just gonna go into here, and what we're gonna do is when we hit E, we're gonna pass the reference of the component that we're hitting. And then what we're going to do is we're going to compare it with these two. Now, just going to show you with the clicking what the reference is for these. Does it look familiar? Simple actor.cube, simple actor.sphere. So what we can actually do is when we delete these, we can do a simple comparison with two branches. There are more efficient ways to do this, but equal so if that's a cube, do that. If that's a sphere, do that. And then all we need to do now is just, yeah, that's sphere. Alright, so now you've got this universal system that allows you to use the same code whether you're clicking on it or using the line trace and the E key. And all we have to do in here is just delete all that, get out hit actor, pass ref. You actually would call it something slightly different, but yeah. Whoops. That's the one we want. And we want to pass it, the component as the object reference. This is very cheeky, but yeah. And again, there's going to be people that won't like this. In fact, just to satisfy them, it's just does implement interface just to keep them happy. There we go. Everybody should be pleased now. So we should go up to these things. We hit the E key and whoops. I forgot to set these. Cube. No, let's make it more interesting. I'm a cube. I'm a ball. Go there, go there. So I'm a cube. I'm a ball. And we can do the same thing with the mouse click. And yeah, so that should solve a lot of people's problems. I don't even know what to title this video, but yeah, that's actually a pretty simple way to do it. Again, there's going to be people that are going to say, oh no, don't do it like this, and there's going to be other people that are going to say, yeah, do it like this, it's a great idea. You're going to get it no matter where you go or what you do. But yeah, so that's the very sort of basics of a bit of interaction, especially for actors that have got more than one component. So yeah, you can also do the same thing with set material, for example. So you can also grab that component and set the material. Set material. Make sure it's mesh. You may have to do it through the other. Let's just try that out. It's usually easier just to send it as a go through the what's-he thing. This may or may not work. No, there you go. It works. Yeah. Just a little bit of fun there. Yeah, so if you like this, please subscribe. The bell thing and all that stuff as well. So, yeah.